Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's kind of been a minute since I've really posted like a purposeful video for you guys. So welcome back. Okay, so I want to give you guys like a 6-month update of driving a Whippled 2025 Mustang GT. And to be clear with you guys, I've been daily driving this car for 6 months with the Whipple on it, okay? This is the car I take to the gym. It's the car I take to work. When I go to work on my rare days that I do, generally I just work from home. It's the car that I run errands in. It's the car that I do grocery shopping. It's the car that I do road trips. And this is my only car, so it's kind of by default my daily driver. But I want to give you guys kind of like an update and sort of like my thoughts on the past 6 months with the Whipple, because to me it's been pretty interesting, and I think there's some stuff that I definitely learned and kind of want to share with you guys. Some of it is actually pretty vital too, which we'll get into. But when I first was planning on putting a Whipple on my 2025 Mustang, I was pretty concerned about how much I was going to negatively impact its ability to daily drive. And if you go online, which is what I do all the time, okay, but if you go online and you like read a bunch of like posts and people's opinions of who drive a Whippled Gen 4 Coyote Mustang, what you're going to find is like most people, they're going to say like it doesn't impact daily driving ability at all. Like you actually don't even notice the Whipple's there. And I kind of found that hard to believe when I was first planning it, but it's absolutely true. Like it genuinely is true. It really truly feels like a stock Mustang until you obviously get on it. Like once you start hitting the throttle and driving it hard, obviously the power of the Whipple comes out. But if you're daily driving the car and you're being gentle with it and you're just kind of putzing down the highway, it truly feels like a stock Mustang. And there's also, with one caveat, there's also not really any noise increase either. So I know there's a lot of people who like the sound or the whine of a supercharger, especially like a positive displacement supercharger. I've kind of always been one of those people. I like the whine of a supercharger. The Whipples don't whine. Like in no way, shape or form, in any RPM, in any condition, do the Whipples make a whining noise that you can audibly hear from the cabin. Now, there is it's called a Foster's whine mod. So what it does is in the intake tubing that routes to the throttle body, you actually cut a hole there and then route a tube into the firewall, like right where your left leg is. And then that tube actually just produces some of that whine sound and captures it and then sends it into the cabin. And from the people who've done that, it definitely increases the whine, or actually creates an audible whine noise. But I feel like what most people kind of say about that is it gets a little bit too annoying. I guess maybe it's a little bit too artificial of a sound. I first was kind of thinking about doing it when I first got the Whipple, because I thought there was gonna be a whine and there wasn't. But I don't think I'm gonna do it. I feel like drilling a hole in my firewall just doesn't feel good emotionally. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. But I guess, who knows? Who's to say, maybe a year I want some supercharger noise in the cabin and I do that. But what I was gonna say, the caveat, there's one small noise that comes from the car that you notice is a supercharger sound. So I'm gonna try to explain this as best I can. When you get on throttle, okay, in like very low RPMs and low gears and low speed kind of situations, like if you're going through like a parking garage or parking lot or something like that, when you like touch the gas, there's like a psst kind of noise. It's almost like a whistle. It's really cool actually, but it's very faint. It's not super easy to pick up. At first I thought there was a problem with the car until I did some research, and I was like, nope, that's just what Whipples do. There's a little bit of a whistle when you come on throttle and those like low speed, low RPM kind of settings, and it's really cool. But genuinely, other than that, there's really no difference between a stock Mustang and a supercharged Whipple Mustang when you're not driving it hard. And that's actually something I really appreciate with the Whipple. Again, like I said, I was like a bit concerned about like how much it's going to take away from its daily driving ability, and really not at all. It doesn't create any more harshness. It's still, it's still a relatively docile car. as long as you keep the RPMs low, it's not gonna like bite your leg off or do anything crazy or spin out, which I know is on video a lot. And we don't wanna be that kind of Mustang video on YouTube, okay? We're not trying to be a statistic here. But that was something I've like truly really appreciate, you know, this past 6 months of daily driving this car it is a perfectly daily drivable car. Now, to be fair, I feel like I have a high tolerance for daily drivers. I've had a ZL1 1LE in the past that I daily drove, and that has I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called Multimatic Dynamic Spool Valve Suspension. I think I got that right. If you guys have ever been in a ZL1 1LE, it is by far and away the harshest riding car. Like the suspension literally feels like it's just like a flat stack of washers. It's so jarring and it's just so rough. So I daily drove that. So if I can do that, I can pretty much daily drive anything. But truly, it's been a fantastic daily driving car. And there's also really no like exceptional maintenance increase that comes with, you know, putting a Whipple on your Mustang. There is oil in the supercharger, but per the Whipple instructions, you have to change that every 100,000 miles. So that's a drop in the bucket in terms of increased maintenance. Still doing 5,000 mile oil changes. We're using 5W50. I think the factory calls for 5W30 from Ford if you're just on a NA Coyote setup. But you know, really, it's been fantastic in terms of the comfortability and the daily drivability for the past 6 months. It really doesn't fundamentally change how the car behaves in typical, just kind of gentle driving settings. So to get to the parts where you're not gently driving the car, it's a lot of fun. Like it truly is a lot of fun. In that case, it very much changes the aspect of the car and how it feels. It truly is more powerful. That's very much felt in the butt dyno. So before I was like making this video, I was, you know, just kind of brainstorming how I'm gonna sort of describe the speed. I was like, what's the best way to like describe like an 800 horsepower Mustang? And I'm gonna give it my best shot, okay? If you guys have ever heard the guitar intro riff to Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, it's that. And if you haven't heard that, go listen to it right now. So right now, to give you guys just a quick synopsis of the setup I have a stage 2 Whipple. We did pulley it down. It's 3.625. We're running an E30 blend, and then we also have catted long tube stainless power headers. Now, of course, there's some drawbacks. You're gonna go through tires pretty quick. So these are still the stock Pirelli P0 tires. Now, I had a 2014 Mustang, and that also had the same tire. And I was able to get like 40,000 miles out of it. Now, granted, I do drive my tires pretty bald, which is not my best trait, but I was living in California at the time, and even in Texas, you can kind of get away by going past the tread bar a little bit, as long as you're not doing a whole lot of rain driving or anything crazy like that. But I'm about to hit 10,000 miles on this, and the rear tires are pretty spent. We're just hitting the tread bar, so we're probably gonna need a new set of tires soon, which is what I'm gonna do. So probably next couple weeks, I think I'm gonna throw on some Indy Firehawk 500 tires, which seem like they have pretty good reviews. I've never used them yet, but I guess, you know, everything I've seen, they're about 80% the tire as a Michelin PS4. I think I'm saying that tire right, but I think like Sport Cup 4s or something like that. Also, they're pretty affordable too, and they have a decent tread life to them. So if I could get 10,000 miles out of those rear tires, I'd be pretty happy. But you are gonna spin a lot, okay? With 800 and some odd horsepower to the wheels, you're gonna spin your wheels a lot. So this is something where you may wanna throw a drag pack on the car, but you do have to be careful with drag packs, okay? If you throw like a true like sticky Mickey on the rear, you are jeopardizing your half shafts and possibly your drive shaft. Now, if you're not like tracking it on like a prep set, or you know, like on a prep surface, you're probably okay with the half shafts. They're probably not gonna break on you. But if you're like truly launching the car on a drag pack with a Whipple setup, at some point you're probably and quickly gonna break the half shafts. So that's something to watch out for. I know a lot of people throw GT350 half shafts in these, and they do okay. From what I've seen, those hold up pretty well. on drag pack Whipple, Mustang cars, but just something to be careful with. But you are gonna go through tires a lot more often than you normally would. I feel like if I had to throw a percentage on it, you probably get, I don't know, maybe 50% less life out of a typical tire than you would going NA or if you're supercharged. Now, another thing I want to point out with these cars and this setup that I don't think is like super common knowledge. It's definitely out there, but it's not like, the oil pump gear problem. Everybody knows about that one with these cars, but there is an issue you have to be careful of, and it's an issue I actually ran into. But it's really an issue you need to pay attention to when you have specifically a Whipple supercharged Coyote with the stock cats and you're not running a Whipple box tune, which seems to be more popular, these days. So, people will get a car, they'll throw a stage 1 or stage 2 Whipple on it, go get a tune from Shoemaker or from Vanguard Performance or from Lund or whatever it is, and they leave the stock cats in. And the issue with that is you're probably gonna burn up the stock cats pretty quick. Now, with the Whipple box tunes, they have a cat protection mechanism that's built into the calibration of their tune. I don't really know how it works, so don't ask me exactly, what it does to actually protect the cats. But as soon as you get off that Whipple box tune onto like a custom tune from, again, like Shoemaker, Lund or whatever, you lose that cat protection mechanism and you are absolutely jeopardizing your stock cats. And for me, my stock cats on a Shoemaker tune only lasted about 1,000 miles, which is very typical. You'll get maybe 1,000 to maybe 3,000 miles out of your stock cats on a custom tuned Whipple Coyote. But this is what I'm saying, you need to be really careful of this. So if you're on your stock cats in this kind of setup and you get like a PO430 or a PO420 code, you need to get the stock cats out of the car, okay? So I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen every single time, but it is a common enough occurrence, and it breaks my heart when I see this happen. I've seen a few posts on Facebook on some of the S650 pages where they have broken a piston ring. Usually it's cylinder number 8. They're breaking piston rings on their pistons because of built up back pressure and clogged cats. So inside the cat, there's a bunch of like honeycomb platinum. And what can happen is that platinum burns into a solid block and you are no longer flowing the back pressure from the exhaust out of the engine as efficiently or as smoothly. It gets blocked or it gets clogged. And that creates too much back pressure in the system between your cat and your engine where you're breaking piston rings. It's not a super common occurrence, but it is something I have seen happen a few times, both from just reading people's posts on Facebook or just some of the Mustang forums. It is a thing that can happen. So I've talked about this before, and I'm gonna keep talking about it because again, I don't think it's a super well-known issue, but you have to be really careful about that. If you guys are on stock cats and you guys have a Whipple and you pop a PO420 or PO430 code, you need to get your stock cats out of there, okay? Pick up a set of headers, stop driving the car, throw them in, and you're good to go. That was something I did as soon as I got, and I was familiar with this issue before it actually happened to me, thankfully, because I probably would have just ignored it and just kept clearing the code, but I didn't do that, thank God. But I was on my stock cats, 1,000 miles later, with the Whipple on, popped a PO420 code, and then as soon as that happened, I realized, okay, let's stop driving the car. I ordered up a set of stainless power headers, got them thrown in, and we've been good ever since. But that is something you guys truly need to be careful of. Again, if you're on your stock cats with a Whipple supercharged Mustang and you pop a code like that, stop driving it, get the cats out of there, throw in some headers, and you'll be good. Now, to get on to the issue everybody always talks about, everybody knows about, is oil pump gear. Should you do oil pump gears when you supercharge your car? I have made a few videos about it. You're gonna get 8 million and one opinions online, depending on who you talk to, where you look. I always lean towards the side of caution when it comes to oil pump gears, because if they fail, your engine's done. You lose oil pressure and you need a new engine. So To me, they're always good insurance, but to give you guys a quick rundown of not really like a good rule of thumb, I would say, but kind of like a general consensus of what people will kind of do with these cars when it comes to oil pump gears. But if you're supercharging a car, turbocharging it, and you have an automatic transmission, you're probably okay not to have oil pump gears. If you're on a manual car, this is where you probably do need to get them, because with the oil pump gears, what breaks them is the oscillations in the engine, the vibrations, the harmonics, and that's the stress that actually, cracks and breaks those gears. So when you're driving a manual car, it's really easy to bounce off the rev limiter, and it's that, jerk and oscillation coming up and down off the rev limiter that generally will break the gears if they do break. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. If you guys have a manual, probably should do it. If you have an automatic, you're probably okay. My personal opinion and what I'm always going to recommend is just do the oil pump gears. I know it sucks. It's an additional cost. It's not fun spending $1,500 or $2,000 in some cases to do the oil pump gears and crank sprocket, but I think it's very much worth it just to have that insurance and peace of mind with the car. Also too, something that annoys me, whenever you look up oil pump gear, videos on YouTube, what they'll do is they'll take the oil pump gears and then they'll drop them from a great height of 6 feet or whatever, and then of course they break or they crack, and then they say, yep, see, these oil pump gears are weak. That's not a good stress test for oil pump gears, okay? At no point are your oil pump gears ever gonna take an impact force like that. That's not what breaks them. It's the oscillations and the vibrations and harmonics of the engine. So if you guys ever see someone drop oil pump gears, have them break, and then have them explain to you why they're weak, that's just that's invalid, okay? It's just frustrates me every single time I see that, because it's just not a good test. It's like if you took an engine block, right? If we took the engine block out of this car and dropped that from 6 feet and it cracked, imagine if I was sitting here telling you guys, see, Gen 4 Coyotes, they're not strong engines. It's just a wholly invalid test. So gentlemen, stop doing the drop test on oil pump gears, okay? It's not valid. But anyways, I just want to cover the oil pump gear topic because it's always in question when people come out with, supercharged or turbocharged Mustangs. But overall, in the past 6 months, my experience with the Whipple has been fantastic. Genuinely, it's been really good. I did have a few kind of small issues, quirks when it came to the install. I've made 3 or 4 videos on that. So if you guys want to, check that out, feel free to. But that was absolutely nothing to do with Whipple, nothing to do with Ford, nothing to do with part quality or fitment issues, nothing like that. That was just a shop install failure that I ran into some issues, but they weren't really that big of a deal. It's all sorted out now, but truly, the past 6 months, they've been this Whipple has been fantastic. I've been loving it so much, and I don't really ever plan on selling this car. So I told myself, if I can get 100,000 miles out of this engine before it, something catastrophically fails, I would be a pretty happy man. And I have seen, I don't know how common these occurrences are, but I have seen 150,000 mile supercharged Coyotes that are still going strong to this day. Obviously these are, Gen 2, Gen 3 Coyotes that are taking a beating. They're out there, and as long as you're on a quality tune, you should get a lot of life out of a Whippled Coyote, especially again on the Gen 2, 3s, and 4s. The Gen 1s are a little bit weaker, their rotating assembly is not as strong as the Gen 2s were and up, but the general rule of thumb with those Gen 1 Coyotes is, as long as you guys are not going really past 700 wheel horsepower, you guys should be fine with those. But hopefully this kind of helps you guys. If you guys are sort of in the decision-making process, hopefully this kind of provided some value to you guys. I know 6 months really isn't a whole lot when it comes to, a long-term review, but I want to give you guys updates. I'm definitely going to do probably a 9-month update, a 12-month update, and then roll into year 2, 3, and 4, and however long that we have the car. Hopefully it's for the rest of our life, because I actually really like this car. I don't ever plan on selling it, like I said, but hopefully this kind of helped you guys who could be in the decision-making process for getting a Whipple. Obviously, the biggest drawback to these things is cost, which is just kind of the name of the game. It is an expensive hit, you know. So that's really the biggest drawback of it, which obviously is a meaningful drawback, but it's expected, okay? Supercharging a car isn't particularly cheap, but truly, like, so far, I've been very happy with the Whipple in the past 6 months. Like, very impressed with the quality and just how well the car has ran. So again, hopefully this helps you guys, and I appreciate you guys for being here, watching my content. As I always say, don't worry about liking, commenting, or subscribing. If you guys want to do that on your own volition, I would be more than honored. If you guys want to subscribe, I would love that, but don't feel obligated. Don't feel like you have to. It kind of annoys me every time you watch a YouTube video, they always are asking you to subscribe. And I don't want to be that channel. So hopefully you guys took some value out of this. If you guys are here watching, that means the world to me. So I'll catch you guys in the next video.